At a better time. Hi, everybody. I'm Dagan McDowell, and this is Bulls and Bears. The Bulls and Bears this week: Gary B. Smith, Jonas Max Ferris, John Layfield, along with Hadley Heath Manning and Chuck Rocha. Welcome to everybody. John, you say Republicans better cut taxes soon for the sake of the economy.
They better. Look, they've been talking about this when President Obama was in office for the last 7 years. They need to have something. They need to actually show up to work and actually do something that they say they're going to do. Look, we haven't had corporate and our personal tax reform in 31 years. 1986 was the last time under President Reagan's second term. And when you look at the highest corporate tax rate in the world, my friend there from East Texas, Chuck Rocha, will tell you he pays over 50% tax. 50% when you count city and state and the fact that he's an LLC and it goes on his personal income. That is not fair. That is not right. If you're able to take that and you're able to give people like Chuck 30 cents more on every dollar, if you go down and say 20%, if you're able to do that, that goes directly into the economy through capital spending and hiring of employees. This is exactly what the market needs. The market was flat from November 2014 to November 2016. The thing that changed was President Trump was elected. The market is expecting tax cuts. You Republicans better get off your duff and do something that you say you're going to do.
Hadley, and the economy, according to some expectations, isn't even going to grow at 1% in the first quarter. This country, the American people need tax reform.
That's right. That's a miserable prediction when it comes to growth. And we can also look at our labor force participation rate that has been low since the Great Recession. Basically, we haven't fully recovered in terms of putting Americans back to work. But tax policy isn't the only thing that affects our labor markets. Health care as an issue also affects our labor markets, affects our economy, whether we're talking about immigration or closing the skills gap, making our education system better for training workers for today's economy. I mean, there are many issues here. I understand the urgency to address tax reform, but I'd rather have good policy than fast policy.
Gary B., what do you say? Because, again, as John was pointing out, the market, the broad market, Dow and S&P, well off their highs from March the 1st.
I tell you what, Dagan, I think if Trump manages to get through, along with Congress, as John indicates, he can be a really transformational president. Look, here's the case for lowering taxes. Let's look at the flip side when we raise taxes. 32, 37, 93 under Roosevelt, Hoover, and Clinton all put the economy into the tank. There's no examples where we lowered taxes and put the economy in the tank. Just the opposite. Under Reagan, under Kennedy, the economy boomed. The other argument is, if I really thought, and there was facts out there that said giving more money to the government to spend stimulated the economy, increased jobs, increased the GDP, I'd be all for it. But didn't we just try that under Obama's $1 trillion stimulus plan? Don't we have disasters with monopolies like Amtrak and the post office that can't make any money? It boggles the mind that there are people on the left out there that says, give the government more money that'll stimulate the economy, when there's almost no examples of them doing that.
Right. Taxes went up. We doubled the debt, and the economy hasn't grown at 3% in the last decade. Chuck, I want you to say this with me right now. Cut my taxes.
Well, John was right. I'm a small businessman, and my taxes are too high. And I know sometimes when I get on my rant about this, I do sound a little bit like a Republican, even though I ran a socialist presidential campaign. So let's be clear about something. There's a Hell's Bay fishing boat in Florida right now that would be sitting in my driveway. If you would lower my taxes, I promise you I would stimulate the economy in Florida, because I would go buy that new boat, and it would be sitting there. Now, let's talk about taxes as a whole. Now, I know that sounds a little bit like an oxymoron because of how I speak, but let's think about it in this way. If I'm paying, as John said, 39% tax and then 9.9% because I live here in the nation's capital, what about the folks at GE and Verizon who ain't paying nowhere near 50% tax because they've got lawyers and accountants and lobbyists to be up there on Capitol Hill making sure they get all the breaks? It's the little guy who's been left out. That's why you have President Trump. You saw the rise of Bernie Sanders, because people are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Jonas, we do need, though, corporate and individual tax reform.
First of all, Chuck needs to move back to Texas or Florida, and he can knock at least 10% off that 50% tax bill right there.
That's true.
I will say, look, I want to go off what John said, which is the market expects, investors are expecting a tax cut. That in real terms is we saw interest rates jump about 1% at one point from before the election till shortly after the election. That higher interest rate burden, I know historically they were a lot higher, but is weighing on car sales right now in many parts of the country that aren't wealthy, and home building figures. So it is already dragging because we're expecting an offsetting fiscal stimulus that is not coming now because we're not getting the tax cuts that were built into Obamacare repeal that would have happened, or possibly not through this tax reform package. Now, that said, I think for the little guy, to Chuck's point, isn't really paying a lot of taxes. They are paying a small amount of tax to a very complicated, as everyone knows, because it was just April 5th, 17th, or 18th with the extension. It takes a long time to pay your $300 or $400 for a lot of retired people and older people. They need to reform that, and so we don't have to spend countless hours and hiring people through this mess of, and it's worse for corporations. Luckily, they can afford it, the ones that aren't passed through smaller companies, but it's still a mess. It needs reform, and that itself is an economic stimulus plan.
John, back to your earlier point, a guest on Maria Bartiromo's show earlier this week, a prominent economist, said if we don't get tax reform, tax cuts, and the health care overhaul, this country's going into a recession this year, period.
I don't know about the draconian calls about going into recession. You know, the Chicken Little, the sky's falling. It's certainly not that great. But look, to Hadley's point, you say we want good policy. How about any policy? Look, these guys had 7 years, these Republicans, and I'm not just against Republicans, I'm against the Democrats too. I can't stand any of them. I'm like most of America. I think they're all buffoons, and they need to actually go to work and actually do something. But the Republicans had 7 years to get something on President Obama's desk the first day, like they said they would do, about repealing Obamacare. They had 7 years to get something about tax reform, and they simply didn't do it. And to my friend Chuck's point, look, small businesses are the one who gets stuck with this. These big companies have bought all politicians for decades. It's why the tax book is 72,000 pages plus, because they bought up politicians. They pay effective rates somewhere in the 20% range. The small businesses who can't buy all politicians, they're the ones who create over 50% of the jobs. They're the ones who are stuck with this highest corporate tax rate in the world. They're the ones that need the help, and if you give them that help, the economy will rebound.
John is ready for a smackdown. I'm glad I'm not in the studio with you. Exactly. You better stick around. You don't know what